Hey, Mrparka here to start Endeavor here. This is going to be a little project I have going here, so the video will be cut in about 4 or 5 parts. I'm going to review the Redsin Tower Possession Edition. Toe Tag released this bad boy a little while back, and it was kind of like an anniversary edition of their movie. This is the third film that Toe Tag Pictures originally released. It goes August Underground Mortem, and then the Redsin Tower. And this is my personal favorite of the films. Just speaks to me a lot more. It is a 5-disc, beautiful set here. And before I start this review, I just want to tell you I'm a big fan of Toe Tag, so maybe it'll be subconsciously biased because I enjoy their films and I enjoy them more as people, even more as people. They're really nice people. Met them at conventions and things like that, and they always go out of their way to treat everybody with respect and remember your name, and just are very nice individuals, and they're great people, and they make really cool independent films. So saying that, I'm going to hop in. This film was made released in 2006, probably shot in 2005, 2006, not necessarily 100% sure. And this was at the time when you couldn't just go out and get a HD camera and shoot everything in HD. It really wasn't, I guess, an option at that time, a viable option. So they shot this on one of the best digital cameras at the time, which is just regular digital. And the film looked pretty good, actually. This is, I guess this one's remastered from the original. It's been a while since I watched the original edition, really, but it looks pretty good, actually. Now, the Redsin Tower involves a group of kids who end up partying at this tower, which has a horrible, horrible, dark past. Nothing incredibly different about the plot, but what's different about the film is the way it's shot. As an independent film, a lot of times now, you don't see a lot of indie movies do these, creative shots anymore. It's almost like a lot of the independent films out there are trying to be so polished and look exactly like the A-grade movies that are coming out, and the way they're shot. They don't take the risk of the creativity camera shots that they could do because they don't have anybody telling them exactly what to do. And Redsin Tower does these creative camera tricks that a lot of the big movies and a lot of the independent movies now won't try and won't do. And I really respect that about there. They do the camera flipping around and the van pulling off when the guy's in the background, or the guy looking up and stuff like that. They just do a lot of cool shots in the film, and I respect that, and I like that kind of stuff. I like to see people play with the camera. Eric Stantz always played with the camera, and in Redsin Tower they play with the camera as well. And I like that, especially in independent movies. It makes it more interesting. I mean, they don't have the budget sometimes to compete exactly with it, but creativity shows that they can compete. And also about Redsin Tower is now you would get the story. Oh, it's kids going to the place; they're all going to get slaughtered. It has a lot of things going for it, but it has a couple different switches in here. First off, it comes off as it might be a slasher film, and it kind of switches in the middle, which is also very cool. And it does have characters that kind of fit these character types in typical films, but they don't go so over the top that they become fake. They have a realism to them, which really brings them out, I think. You don't have the nerd pushing up his glasses, and even the jock has this sense of comedy to him that makes him likable, especially the guy, Carl. I really enjoy the character of Carl. I enjoy the main girl. The lead boyfriend, what is his name, Mitch, does a really great job as well. For the most part, all the acting's really solid in the film, and I think that the writing and the acting brings out these characters in a level that makes them realistic. And although they are playing kind of type, some of them, they don't fall into that kind of, hey, we're just this type from a movie that's shoved in here and none of us mix or match. Like, these people wouldn't be together. These people would hang out in this situation. They would be around each other. And I enjoy that. The film also uses its atmosphere to actually make it pretty scary. There's a couple really scary shots in the Redsin Tower. Especially one where one of the characters is counting, and they kind of let your guard down. He's counting to go chase this girl who's stripping down, and you're thinking, oh, you're not even thinking about the Redsin Tower or the possible evil that is in here, and the blood drips on his face, and then you're like, oh, wow, and it shows an omen, which I think is really cool. I've only gotten through the first disc and part of the second disc, so I'm just going to focus on the first disc and the film itself. There's 2 commentaries on this disc, one with the cast and crew, which seemed fun. They were having a couple laughs at each other's expenses, and then the one with the Toe Tag crew, Jeremy Cruz, Shelby Vogel, and Fred Vogel, and that one's more informative and things like that. I love the idea that he took this movie, Fred, and they wanted to make this movie about a tower that was in his childhood, and he thought, he's a big fan of Frankenstein, and he says Frankenstein used to live there as a kid, so he wanted to make a movie based around this tower. People will compare this to stuff like Evil Dead and Night of the Demons, and although I do think it is like Night of the Demons in story alone, just in setup, in one of the commentaries he mentions that people said that as well, it definitely doesn't fit the mood of Night of the Demons at all. It's definitely more of a Evil Dead, but I'd say a little darker than Evil Dead. And of course, don't forget this is a toe tag film. Although they were trying to go a little bit more mainstream with this one, they deliver on the gore effects, and it is an hour and 28-minute movie. And, you know, a lot of stuff doesn't happen right away, but they build these characters up, and I enjoy that. If you got cool characters, or at least interesting characters, I'd like to see them built up a bit. It's these movies that don't have these characters that they're not interesting, and you focus too much on them, and then nothing happened, or something happens, you don't care. These characters, I actually was, you know, I was involved with them. I wanted to see what was going to happen to them. And I enjoyed that. The gore effects in this movie are actually really great. Particularly the first death in the movie is cringeworthy. It's really just one of those brutal moments that has those little extra touches that make you cringe. And that's definitely something that toe tag is known for. But if you guys have never seen the Redsin Tower, I'd say check this movie out. Grab this edition. It's not very expensive for what you get. You get 5 discs. Can't wait to dwell into the other stuff. But I'm a big fan of the Redsin Tower. It's my favorite toe tag movie. I love demon possession movies. I love the kind of slasher-esque stuff. Great characters, great gore, and you know, well acted, well directed, and it has a creative flair to it that makes it stick out over a lot of other independent movies. And this is the new remastered edition, so check it out. And I'm going to hop into the other disc a little later on. Hey, Mrparka here to get back at the special features of the Redsin Tower. This is actually the reversible disc art here. On the first disc, I forgot to mention that there's deleted scenes, which you get to see them actually go in the tower, and some deleted characters and things like that. And Fred actually goes back and goes through the tower himself for the first time ever, the real tower. That's actually where he was in Jersey, where he used to look at as a kid. So that's pretty cool as well. But let me get in this. I actually muscled through all 4 discs within like a few days, and they're very long, and that's pretty much all I've been watching for like the last few days. Regardless, the second disc is probably the coolest of the bunch, because it comes with like a 2.5-hour documentary about the Redsin Tower, and this starts all the way to like pre-production, to where originally it was coming to casting, to the set, making the set, to actually filming, and then all the way to the premiere. And it's really cool. I love this documentary, and it creates some nice story arcs in there about, I know it's just the story of making the Redsin Tower, but there's lots of conflicts and climax, like, you know, peaks and valleys in here that keep you interested. Like one of the actors fell ill.
You know, the kids are in the waiting room, you know, and then Billy Martin's mother's on the phone saying Billy's not going to be in the movie. So they knew about it. It was devastating.
I was in the hospital about 2 weeks prior to the auditions, and I just had a little stomach bug, a little kind of virus, and they wanted to get it out with a certain antibiotic. So I took the antibiotic. Auditions, everything was fine. Then we started filming the movie, and I remember I was at the point right out the gate when we started filming the movie. I was starting to get sick, and I thought it was maybe just a stomach bug coming back. But I was pretty much bleeding out of every orifice you could think of, and I remember I didn't want to say anything, because I kept thinking, it is so early in this movie, it would be so easy to just kind of erase Carl right out. Sometimes you do things as an actor where you don't always think the script is phenomenal or it's the best play ever written, but you do it because you're an actor. The Redsin Tower, I genuinely started to love the more I got to know it. So there was no way I wanted to be out of that movie.
Little do I know, I find out that he's developing Crohn's disease. What do? This is the guy that's supposed to save the girl at the end.
This guy that we had grown to love, he's part of our family now, and now he's in this hospital, and it's not good. And his mom's upset, crying, and this guy was supposed to be our hero. Originally in the script, it was Carl who saves the day, because he's the one that's getting talked to with all, like, you know, the possessed people. So he's the one that's supposed to feel this presence all the way through. Now I gotta wake Fred up and tell him this. And I get him up, and I'm like, I just got a phone call. I'm all crying and upset. And I tell him, you know, Billy's really sick and he's in the hospital, and that he's not coming back for the rest of the movie.
And stuff like that, and what they had to do in the red carpet story about toe tag, you know, kind of going a little bit more mainstream than typical. So you get these story arcs in there, and everybody in there seems really cool, really excited about doing the project, and it seems like a really nice environment. Very stressful though. And then they also have these anatomies of a scene on here, which is cool because they show you all the footage essentially, and they show you how they cut it up and which scenes and which angles they chose to use. Those are really interesting, especially if you make movies on your own and see, you know, what they chose to do and what they had to work around and things like that. Because some of the scenes were shots are like, well, we can't use this because this and that and stuff like that, which is interesting for any filmmaker. You know, maybe a little bit of a school type deal. But regardless, what was disc 3? There's so much stuff on here I can't remember what's on disc 3, 4, 5, which disc they actually popped up on. The first day on disc 3, on set rehearsals, raw on set interviews, hanging with Curtis Pepper, which is a funny little documentary about you know, Fred Vogel's kind of a pothead character in that, playing Phil Pepper's brother. And there's a bunch of Easter eggs throughout all these. Some are funny, some are cool, some are you know, just cute. There's actually a freestyle rap on here. A bunch of them are doing like a rap and stuff like that, just being goofy. They called the green room because that was like the room where they all hung out between scenes and things like that, all the actors. Disc 4 and 5 have a lot of makeup, things like that. They actually show like the building of the tower in disc 4, which is really crazy. It's I think Krusty and you know, Jeremy Cruz and a whole bunch of other people are working on the tower, and just all the things they did for it. They made all the walls and carved them on everything. It's just a lot of articulate, well thought out things. Everything's really well thought out. They don't just half-ass anything. And they're really meticulous, is what I'd say for sure. There's a lot of a lot of special effects on here. A lot of the things I really liked is they would take the scraps and make something amazing out of it. And they're really innovative, which on everything from you know, their camera angles to their special effects to you know, how they do things. And they don't just, you know, we're just going to do this and throw money at the problem. They figure ways to work around it. The demonic bird thing, what they made that out of, was amazing. Just little bits of latex and some plastic laying around and bike cables. I can't even imagine even beginning to make something like that. So that was also interesting as well. And and disc 5 has a lot of like death scenes and makeup tutorials and things like that, which are really cool as well. And you see how good that Jeremy Cruz is and how focused he is on a lot of that stuff. And also there's a really great scene where he gets to smash one of the heads with one of the characters gets hit in the face with a hatchet and the body, and he just goes ballistic on it like it was a prop. He just wanted to smash the whole time, and it's pretty over the top. He just goes absolutely insane, and everybody seems to be celebrating. Maybe he's getting out a lot of aggression on set, aggression on that, but regardless, a lot of great features on here. This is like you know, the end all of this movie. I wonder if Totec's gonna do anything else with their other movies like this, but man, oh man, there are so much features on here. Everything you want to know about the Redsin Tower and more. Enjoyable, filled with Easter eggs, really a nice setup disc and things like that. Nice like layout, 5-disc set. Like I said, this is all you would ever want a Redsin Tower. Maybe like a VHS or something, the Massacre VHSs, which I have sitting around. But yeah, the print looks good. The features are ridiculous and plentiful. And also I enjoy seeing you know, a lot of the Totec people behind the scenes, you know, actually, like when they have to coach the actors or coach like the special, here's how you do the special effects. They're really into it, and it's funny watching, you know, Fred give acting coach, and he's so into it, and which is nice to see. You know, somebody who's just like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. But no, they're just very excited and very thrilled to be doing it, and that is very cool and inspirational. And I'd say check this disc out. I'll give you the links below. Totec.biz, I believe, is where they sell their stuff. They have a lot of merch and stuff like that. And you know, this is kind of like a plug also, because it's not like I wouldn't review it anyways. I just really like these guys, and I really like this movie, and I like this edition. So I think that horror fans, especially you know, guys that like independent stuff, should check it out. And to verify myself, I said I like possession movies, but I'm more so the Evil Dead, Redsin Tower, Night of the Demons, Demon Knight kind of possession guy. And it does that kind of, but it has that, you know, Exorcist kind of flair. A lot of the makeup looks kind of inspired like that. But I always like the ending of this movie as well, so it's a little different. They had to work on the, you know, change it at the last minute if you can watch the documentary. But yeah, check out the Redsin Tower. I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised by this release. And I believe at one point it was dirt cheap on sale, so look out for their sales. They always do these holiday sales and things like that. But yeah, appreciate what Totec's doing, appreciate this release, and appreciate this movie. Thank you guys for watching, and links for information will be below.